secrets and lies surrounding the Godfather of Soul's legacy are finally exposed. At 53, James Brown's daughter breaks her silence, revealing the secrets that have haunted her family for decades. With unflinching honesty, she confirms the rumors about her father's dark past, which shatters the facade of a music icon. Join us as we confirm and expose Brown's real identity. James Brown was known for his energetic and captivating life on stage. No doubt, everyone suspects he must have hidden a lot with those articulate moves. Before we dive into the shocking confirmation of his daughter, let's dive into how he began and rose to so much fame. James Brown joined Bobby Byrd's ensemble in 1954. By then, it had evolved from the Gospel Starlighters to an R&B group called the Avons. The band's formation came about after the tragic loss of Troy Collins in a car accident. Alongside Brown and Byrd, the lineup included Sylvester Keels, Doyle Oglesby, Fred Pulliam, Nash Knox, and Nat Floyd Scott. Taking cues from R&B legends like Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, the Orioles, and Billy Ward and his Dominoes, the group changed their names to Toccoa Band and then to the Flames. Barry Tremere was appointed as the inaugural manager of the ensemble, securing performances at various events near college campuses in Georgia and South Carolina. The group had already gained a reputation for engaging live performances, leading them to adopt the famous Flames. In 1955, they crossed paths with the legendary Little Richard while performing in Macon. Impressed by their talent, Little Richard encouraged them to reach out to his then manager, Clint Brantley, at his nightclub. Following an audition, Brantley agreed to take on their management. He then organized a demo session for the group at a local radio station, where they showcased their original song, Please, Please, Please. This song was inspired by a napkin that Little Richard had written the title, which motivated James Brown to develop it into a complete song. The famous Flames later signed with the federal subsidiary of King Records in Cincinnati, Ohio, and in March 1956, they released a re-recorded version of Please, Please, Please. This track was a massive success in the R&B genre, selling over 1 million copies. Despite this early success, subsequent releases did not reach the same level of popularity. In 1957, James Brown took over the management reins from Clint Brantley and appointed Ben Bart, the head of Universal Attractions Agency. It was also in that same year that the original lineup of the Flames disbanded, as Bart rebranded the group to James Brown and his Famous Flames. By October 1958, the legendary James Brown released the heartfelt ballad Try Me, a song that quickly soared to the top spot on the R&B chart in early 1959. This milestone marked the beginning of Brown's extraordinary career, which included an impressive 17 #1 R&B hits. Because of the success of Try Me, Brown wasted no time in assembling his very first band, with J.C. Davis taking on the role of band leader. He also reconnected with Bobby Byrd, a key collaborator who joined a revamped lineup of the Famous Flames. This new lineup included talented musicians such as Eugene, Baby, Lloyd Stallworth, and Bobby Bennett, with Johnny Terry occasionally stepping in as the fifth Flame. The group and Brown's entire ensemble made their highly anticipated debut at the iconic Apollo Theater on April 24, 1959. They had the honor of performing as the opening act for Brown's idol, the renowned Little Willie John, in a historic moment that set the stage for Brown's future success in the music industry. This includes getting signed into different record labels. Federal Records, one of the record labels that James Brown was signed to, released 2 albums credited to Brown and the Famous Flames. These albums included previously released singles and showcased the collaboration between Brown and his vocal group, the Famous Flames. Around 1960, Brown started taking on multiple roles in the recording studio, working with both the Famous Flames and his band, which sometimes went by James Brown Orchestra or James Brown Band. The band scored a top 10 R&B hit during this time. The success of the hit Mashed Potatoes caught the attention of King Records president Sid Nathan, who then decided to transfer Brown's contract from Federal to King Records. According to Brown's autobiography, this move signified that he would receive more support from the company. While signed to King Records, Brown and the Famous Flames released the well-received Think album. In 1961, Brown also produced 2 albums with the James Brown Band, though they were given secondary billing. With the Famous Flames, Brown took the lead on several hits, including Bewildered, I'll Go Crazy, and Think. These songs hinted at the evolving musical style that later defined James Brown as a groundbreaking artist in the world of R&B and soul music. James Brown and his ensemble experienced a surge in their career in 1962 when their instrumental piece, Night Train, soared to the top 5 on the R&B charts, garnering significant success. Building on this momentum, Brown expanded his musical repertoire that same year by introducing the soulful ballads Lost Someone and Baby You're Right, the latter of which was a compelling composition by Joe Tex. These additions to his catalog stabilized Brown's reputation and popularity among R&B fans. Because Brown wasn't the type to rest on his laurels, he demonstrated his entrepreneurial spirit and determination on October 24, 1962. Taking a bold step, he financed a live recording of his concert at the iconic Apollo Theater. Despite the doubts from industry insiders, Brown's persuasive skills convinced Sid Nathan to distribute the album. This decision was met with skepticism, as live recordings were often considered less marketable than studio singles. However, Brown's confidence in his performance and the unique energy captured in live recordings proved a game changer. The album's success defied expectations and showcased Brown's ability to innovate and push boundaries in the music industry. That same year, Brown achieved his first top 20 pop hit with his version of the classic Prisoner of Love. He also started his label, Try Me Records, which featured artists like Tammy Montgomery, later known as Tammy Terrell, and Johnny and Bill and the Poets, another name for Brown's backing band. During this period, Brown entered into a troubled 2-year relationship with 17-year-old Tammy Terrell, who performed in his review. Unfortunately, Terrell ended both their personal and professional ties due to Brown's abusive behavior. In 1964, James Brown and Bobby Bird strategically moved towards achieving tremendous commercial success by founding the production company Fair Deal. This new venture was closely tied to the Mercury label and Smash Records. However, their decision faced resistance from King Records, who took legal action by securing an injunction to prevent Brown from releasing more recordings under their label. Despite this setback, Brown had already made his mark with 3 successful vocal singles, including the famous blues-influenced track Out of Sight, which hinted at a change in his musical direction. As the year progressed, Brown and the Famous Flames started to gain more widespread recognition on a national level. The group showcased their dynamic and soulful gospel-inspired vocals and meticulously choreographed routines. Brown, in particular, stole the show with his high-energy dance moves and powerful vocals, completely overshadowing the Rolling Stones, who were the anticipated closing act. This performance confirmed Brown's reputation as a true entertainer and set the stage for his future success in the music industry. After entering into a new agreement with King, Brown released the Papa's Got a Brand New Bag track in 1965, marking his inaugural top 10 pop success and earning him his first Grammy Award. This significant achievement propelled Brown into the spotlight and stabilized his reputation as a groundbreaking artist. Following the success of Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, Brown established a production contract with Loma Records, further expanding his reach in the music industry. Later that same year, Brown continued his winning streak with the release of I Got You, which became his second consecutive single to attain the #1 position on the R&B chart and reach the top 10 on the pop chart. This accomplishment showcased Brown's versatility and broad appeal to audiences across different genres. Building on the momentum of his previous hits, Brown released the soulful ballad, "It's a Man's World," which not only became his third top 10 pop hit. This powerful, dynamic track showcased Brown's vocal prowess and emotional depth, further establishing him as an iconic figure in the music industry. But this icon didn't just fall from the sky. He has an origin that molded him into his icon status. Early life. The iconic musician and performer James Brown was born to Susie and Joseph Gardner Brown on May 3, 1933, in Barnwell, South Carolina. Susie, at the young age of 16, gave birth to James in a modest wooden structure. Initially, James was supposed to be named Joseph James Brown, but a mistake on his birth certificate resulted in his first and middle names being reversed. In his autobiography, Brown shared that his father had a mixed heritage of African American and Native American ancestry. In contrast, his mother had a blend of African American and Asian lineage. Growing up in Elko, South Carolina, the Brown family faced significant poverty in a town that was struggling economically. When James was just a young child, around 4 or 5 years old, the family decided to move to Augusta, Georgia. At first, they lived in one of his aunt's establishments, which happened to be a brothel. Later on, they found an apartment and shared it with another aunt. Unfortunately, the family faced more challenges as Brown's mother decided to leave the family after a difficult and abusive marriage, moving to New York. This left James and his father to navigate life without her presence. Despite the hardships and harsh upbringing, James Brown became a legendary music and entertainment figure. As a child, James Brown began his singing career in talent shows, wowing audiences with his ballad "So Long" performance at Augusta's Lenox Theater in 1944. Brown showed his talent and passion for music even at a young age. During his time in Augusta, he entertained soldiers from Camp Gordon by showcasing his buck. Dances for tips as their convoys passed by a canal bridge near his aunt's residence at the onset of the Second World War. During this time, he first met the legendary blues musician Howlin' Wolf, who inspired Brown to learn to play the piano, guitar, and harmonica. His love for music was further fueled by listening to Louis Jordan and his Timpani Five's hit Caledonia. In his teenage years, Brown briefly tried his hand at boxing before getting into trouble and being convicted of robbery at the age of 16. He was sent to a juvenile detention facility in Toccoa, where he formed a gospel quartet with fellow inmates, including Johnny Terry. During his time in the detention center, singer Bobby Bird discovered Brown's incredible singing talent during a baseball game. Bird was so impressed by Brown's voice that he and his family played an impressive role in securing Brown's early release. This kindness deeply touched Brown, leading him to promise the court that he would use his voice to sing for the Lord. This moment began James Brown's journey to becoming a music icon. Brown was fortunate enough to be granted a work sponsorship by S.C. Lawson, a respected business owner in Toccoa. Impressed by Brown's impeccable work ethic, Lawson facilitated his release and committed to providing him with stable employment for 2 years. On June 14, 1952, Brown was finally paroled and allowed to start a new chapter in his life. After his release, Brown wasted no time immersing himself in his work, collaborating closely with both of Lawson's sons. He quickly became an integral part of the family, forming strong bonds with them and visiting them regularly throughout his professional journey. Brown's talent and passion for music shone through during this time, leading him to join the ever-ready gospel singers. As a group member, Brown worked alongside Bird's sister Sarah, marking his connection to the Lawson family. The experience of being part of the choir not only allowed Brown to showcase his musical abilities, but also provided him with a sense of belonging. It was at this moment that Brown invested so much in his musical style, which turned out to shock everyone: musical craft. As a vocalist, Brown was known for his powerful shouting technique, deeply rooted in gospel music traditions. His performance was marked by rhythmic grunts and expressive shrieks, drawing inspiration from earlier forms such as ring shouts, work songs, and field cries. The Encyclopedia of African American Culture and History highlighted this unique vocal approach, which pointed out the connection to these historical musical forms. In addition to his vocal prowess, Brown reintroduced the rhythmic intricacies that rhythm and blues had lost over time due to the influences of rock and roll. His performances brought back the soulful elements that had been gradually fading away, showcasing a blend of jazz and blues influences in his music. During his career, Brown's touring show became known as one of the most extravagant spectacles in American popular music. At the time of his passing, his ensemble consisted of a large group of talented musicians, including 3 guitarists, 2 bassists, 2 drummers, 3 horn players, and a percussionist. The bands he led in the late 1960s and 1970s were similarly significant, featuring a 3-piece amplified string section for accompanying ballads. The James Brown Revue, which Brown led, employed 40 to 50 individuals who traveled with him in a bus to various cities and towns nationwide. They performed an impressive number of shows annually, totaling over 330, with the majority being one-night engagements. This relentless touring schedule allowed Brown and his band to reach a broad audience and showcase his reputation as a dynamic and influential performer in the music industry. James Brown's live performances were legendary for their electrifying intensity and marathon duration. With a mission to exceed audience expectations and leave them utterly spent, Brown poured his heart and soul into every show. His setlist was a powerhouse of his own chart-topping hits and contemporary tunes, sprinkled with soulful R&B covers that kept fans on their toes. As he belted out his iconic songs, Brown's performances were a mesmerizing blend of soulful vocals and high-energy dance moves, including the iconic mashed potato and gravity-defying leaps, splits, and slides. Accompanied by his dynamic horn section and the harmonious vocals of the Famous Flames, Brown's shows were a symphony of synchronized dance routines that kept audiences on their feet. As the revue evolved, additional backup dancers joined the mix, adding to the visual spectacle. The strict dress code of tuxedos and cummerbunds for male performers remained a staple, defying the casual concert styles of younger artists. Brown's flamboyant costumes and meticulously coiffed hair only added to the grandeur of his performances. Each James Brown concert was a star-studded affair, featuring guest vocalists like Vicki Anderson or Marva Whitney, who brought their flair to the stage. The band also had their moment in the spotlight with instrumental showcases that set the stage on fire, sometimes even serving as the opening act for the show. The sheer magnitude of talent and showmanship Brown brought to the stage ensured that every performance was a night to remember. A distinctive element of Brown's live performances, particularly evident during the song Please, 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 was his iconic kneeling while gripping the microphone stand. This decisive moment on stage would often signal the performance's climax, as Brown poured his heart and soul into his vocal delivery. The show's veteran MC, Danny Ray, would then gracefully step forward to drape a cape over Brown's shoulders, symbolizing the end of the performance and guiding him off the stage after he had given his all, leaving the audience in awe of his raw energy and passion. As Brown was being escorted away, his loyal vocal ensemble, the Famous Flames, consisting of Bobby Byrd, Lloyd Stallworth, and Bobby Bennett, would seamlessly continue to deliver the haunting background refrain, "Please, please don't go oh," adding an emotional depth to the performance. Despite his exhaustion, Brown would often shake off the cape and stagger back to the microphone for an encore, much to the delight of his adoring fans. This captivating routine was inspired by the showmanship of professional wrestler Gorgeous George and the electrifying performances of musician Little Richard, showcasing Brown's ability to captivate and entertain his audience with his unique blend of soulful vocals and showmanship. Moments like these marked James Brown as a true legend in music and entertainment. Personal life. In 1962, the talented Tammy Terrell joined the James Brown Revue, beginning a tumultuous chapter in her life. Despite her young age of only 17 years old, she found herself in a romantic relationship with Brown, which unfortunately turned abusive. This abusive behavior persisted until Terrell was able to break free from the toxic situation. Bobby Bennett, a former member of the famous Flames, recalled the disturbing violence he witnessed, stating that Brown would viciously beat Terrell, causing her to bleed and shed blood. Tragically, Terrell passed away in 1970, having endured the abuse from Brown. Before finding fame as Marvin Gaye's duet partner in the mid-1960s, Terrell had been involved with Brown. Bennett shared that Terrell made the brave decision to leave Brown because she did not want to endure any more physical abuse. He also recounted seeing Brown physically harm another one of his partners who was pregnant, demonstrating the extent of Brown's behavior. Brown had a colorful and tumultuous love life with 3 marriages that played out in the public eye. His first marriage was to Velma Warren in 1953, and the couple had a son together. Despite their separation and divorce in 1969, Brown and Warren remained close friends until his passing. His second marriage to Deidre "Dee Dee" Jenkins in 1970 resulted in the birth of 2 daughters. However, their relationship was marred by allegations of domestic violence, leading to their divorce in 1981. Brown's third marriage to Adrienne Lois Rodriguez in 1984 was marked by controversy and accusations of abuse. Rodriguez ultimately sought a divorce in 1988, citing years of mistreatment, but the couple briefly reconciled before her passing in 1996. After Rodriguez's death, Brown became involved with Tommy Ray Heine, who claimed to be his 4th wife. They officially tied the knot in 2002, but questions arose about the validity of their marriage due to Heine's existing marriage to Javed Ahmed. Brown's attorney, Albert Dallas, argued that the marriage was invalid, adding another layer of complexity to Brown's already complicated romantic history. Heine claimed that Ahmed's primary motive for marrying her was to obtain a green card for residency in the United States. She asserted their marriage was ultimately annulled, but this did not happen until April 2004. In an attempt to prove the validity of her marriage to Brown, Heine showed a marriage certificate during an interview with Larry King on CNN. However, she did not provide any court documents to King that showed the annulment of her marriage to Brown and Ahmed. According to reports from Dallas, Brown felt mixed anger and betrayal when he discovered Heine had not disclosed her previous marriage to him. This revelation led Brown to start annulment proceedings against Heine. Dallas also mentioned that although Heine's marriage to Ahmed was annulled after she married Brown, their union was considered invalid under South Carolina law since they did not remarry following the annulment. In August 2003, Brown publicly announced their separation by placing a full-page notice in Variety. The notice featured Heine, their son James II, and himself during a vacation at Disney World. On January 27, 2015, a significant judicial ruling officially designated Tommy Ray Heine as the legal widow of the iconic musician James Brown. This ruling marked her status as his widow, specifically for estate distribution. The court decision was based on the determination that Heine's previous marriage was invalid and that James Brown had ceased his efforts to annul their marriage. However, fast forward to June 17, 2020, when the South Carolina Supreme Court made a striking reversal of this decision. They concluded that Heine was not legally married to Brown due to her failure to annul her previous marriage. This ultimately led to the court's decision that she was not entitled to any portion of his estate. It's important to note that James Brown was a father to many children, officially acknowledging 11. Among his offspring were 5 sons: Teddy, Terry, Larry, Michael Brown, and James Joseph Brown Jr. Additionally, he had 6 daughters: Larhonda Pettit, Dr. Yama Noyola, Brown Lumar, Deanna Brown Thomas, Cinnamon Brown, Jeanette Bellinger, and Venetia Brown. Tragically, his eldest son Teddy lost his life in a car accident on June 14, 1973. In addition to his children, Brown also had 8 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren, leaving behind a lasting legacy within his family tree. An article published in August 2007 by the British newspaper The Daily Telegraph revealed a shocking discovery about James Brown's personal life. According to the report, DNA testing confirmed that Brown had fathered at least 3 children outside of his marriage. The first child identified was LaRonda Pettit, born in 1962, who currently resides in Houston and has worked as a flight attendant and educator. Another alleged son, Michael Dion Brown, was born in September 1968 to Mary Florence Brown. Despite a paternity lawsuit filed against him in 1983, Brown never officially acknowledged Michael as his son. The article also mentioned a surprising revelation by attorney Deborah Opry during proceedings related to Brown's will. Opry disclosed to Larry King that James Brown had expressed a posthumous wish for a DNA test to be conducted to determine the paternity of James Brown Jr., who was born in 2001. This request was not made to benefit Brown Jr., but to provide clarity for other family members. In April 2007, Tommy Ray Heine, the mother of James Brown Jr., appointed a guardian to represent her son in the ongoing paternity case. The results of the DNA test ultimately confirmed that James Brown Jr. is indeed Brown's biological son, bringing an end to the long-standing paternity dispute. Apart from the DNA saga, Brown also had unexpected posthumous deals. Death and tributes. James Brown, the legendary performer known for his electrifying stage presence, faced numerous health challenges in his later years. Despite his undeniable talent and charisma, he grappled with undiagnosed type 2 diabetes for an extended period, a condition that undoubtedly took a toll on his physical well-being. Remarkably, he managed to conquer prostate cancer in 2004, showcasing his resilience and determination to overcome adversity. However, in December 2006, James Brown's health took an unexpected turn for the worse. A routine dental appointment became dire when the dentist noticed his alarming condition and promptly sent him to the hospital. Despite battling a severe cough and facing upcoming performances, James remained hopeful about returning to the stage, demonstrating his unwavering passion for his craft. Tragically, the music world was shaken by the news of James Brown's passing on Christmas Day at 73. Succumbing to congestive heart failure caused by pneumonia, his final moments were marked by remarkable last words. "I'm going away tonight." His longtime manager, who stood by his side till the end, recounted this heartbreaking moment, underscoring the profound loss felt by all who admired and respected the iconic artist. While James Brown's death left a significant void in the music industry, the circumstances surrounding his passing have sparked controversy and raised suspicions. Despite the official cause of death being attributed to heart failure, lingering doubts have persisted, with a recent investigation shedding light on the uncertainty surrounding the events leading up to his demise. The revelation that the physician who certified his death had reservations and suggested an autopsy, which the family declined, has only added to the intrigue and speculation surrounding his untimely passing. The rumors of a mysterious visitor during his final hours and the unsettling parallels with the death of his ex-wife have fueled speculation of potential foul play. The unresolved issues regarding his burial site, including claims that his tomb may be empty, have only added to the mystery and raised questions about the true nature of his death. With lingering doubts, uncertainties, and eerie connections surrounding James Brown's passing, it is no wonder that some individuals continue to question the events leading up to his tragic demise. In a heartfelt tribute to the legendary James Brown, the Rolling Stones paid homage by performing a soulful rendition of "I'll Go Crazy" during their European tour 2007. This track, originally from Brown's iconic Live at the Apollo album, brought a whole new energy to the stage as the Stones channeled the spirit of the Godfather of Soul himself. Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page, a guitar virtuoso in his own right, praised Brown for being a musical force like no other, constantly pushing boundaries and inspiring generations of musicians. The celebration of James Brown's musical legacy continued with the inaugural Tribute Fit for the King of King Records event held at the Madison Theater in Covington, Kentucky on December 22, 2007. Organized by the legendary Bootsy Collins, the evening was a star-studded affair featuring performances by Tony Wilson as a young James Brown and appearances by Africa Bambaataa, Chuck D of Public Enemy, and the Soul Generals. The lineup also included special guests like Buckethead, Freak Bass, Triage, and some of Brown's family members. Adding to the festive atmosphere, comedian Michael Coyer took on the role of Master of Ceremonies, keeping the crowd entertained throughout the night. The event was so impactful that the mayor of Cincinnati officially declared December 22nd as James Brown Day, marking the King of Soul's lasting influence on music and culture. It was a fitting tribute to a musical legend who forever changed the landscape of popular music. Now, away from the glitz and glamour on the stage, who exactly was James Brown? Allegations and confirmation. The allegations of abuse surrounding the legendary Godfather of Soul, James Brown, were widely publicized throughout his career. During the 1960s, Brown faced disturbing accusations of violence against Tammy Terrell, a young woman only 17 years old at the time of their alleged involvement. Despite his immense talent and success in the music industry, these allegations cast a dark shadow over his reputation. Not just that, Brown's marriage to Adriana Lois Rodriguez in the 1980s brought even more claims of domestic violence to light. The turbulent relationship between Brown and Rodriguez resulted in multiple arrests and made sensational headlines in the media. The public was shocked and appalled by the reports of abuse and violence within their marriage. In a highly publicized 1988 interview with CNN, James Brown vehemently denied all accusations made against him, including the shocking claims that he had attacked Rodriguez with a metal pipe and fired shots at her vehicle. The Say It Loud artist maintained his innocence and attempted to defend his tarnished image, but the allegations continued to haunt him throughout his life and career. James Brown graced the stage at the inaugural Jazz and Opera Festival of the HM Tower of London Festival of Music on July 4, 2006, in London, creating a memorable performance captured by Getty Images. After the event, his daughters, Deanna Brown Thomas and Yama Brown, opened up in a recent interview about their complicated relationship with their father. They delved into the painful memories of witnessing their mother, Deidre Jenkins, endure violent domestic abuse at the hands of James Brown during their formative years. In a candid conversation with People, Yama Brown shared the emotional turmoil she experienced, struggling to reconcile her love for her father with the hurt and anger she felt towards him for the harm he caused her family. She described the difficulty of maintaining a positive perception of someone who had inflicted such pain on a loved one, and how those memories still haunt her at times. Yama acknowledged that her journey toward forgiveness has been a long and arduous one, shaped by the trauma of her past experiences with domestic violence. The impact of growing up in a household plagued by abuse has left a lasting imprint on Yama's life and perspective. She emphasized how the scars of those experiences have influenced her relationships and shaped her understanding of love and compassion. Despite the pain and anger she has carried with her, Yama remains committed to healing and finding peace within herself, determined to break the cycle of violence that once defined her family. Deanna expressed that this current period is a difficult one for everyone, especially for those who have endured domestic violence. These individuals genuinely grasp the seriousness of such situations. She pointed out that this challenging time showcases one's humanity by revealing imperfections and offers an opportunity for compassion. Deanna believes that to move forward from such traumatic experiences, it is crucial to discuss and acknowledge them openly. Deanna touched upon the transformation of her relationship with her well-known father. She disclosed the period in her life where she held negative sentiments towards her father, mainly due to his actions. Deanna recalled witnessing and overhearing things that could have left lasting emotional wounds during her upbringing. Despite this, she noted that her father never directed any hostility toward his children. The discord was mainly between him and his wife, so she's trying everything possible to heal and forgive him. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe and click on the next video shown on your screen.